mic, it's okay. Off your mic,
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don't off mic. And if we talk, now 500,000 they go summer us, call them hate speech. But fear not, Maiyegun don't come. Him go torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we laugh, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. Maiyegun diary Politico, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. This one not the off in mind, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. And in the touchlight every corner, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Chai, them be promise us say we go get light and power. Nah. Them hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Sure. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power over naira. Still them talk say make we off mind. But thank God say Maiyegun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. Maiyegun diary Politico, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. This one not they off in mind, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Maiyegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Maiyegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say Maiyegun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. My people make you shout, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo. Maiyegun diary Politico.
Tí o bá sí àwa èmi tí ń dúró wájú yìí tí ń lérí ogun tí ní òkè Buhari nìṣó ká máa bá lọ. Kò lè di president. Ó ṣe kìíní olùlẹ̀. Ó ṣe kejì olùlẹ̀. Ó ṣe kẹta olùlẹ̀. Ó tiẹ̀ sunkún lórí tẹlifíṣàn pé láyé òun ò tún rán mọ́. Mo dẹ̀ lọ bá ń kàdù náà wà rán ọ̀rọ̀ ẹkún kọ́ lélẹ̀. Àdúró tiẹ̀ wà á dẹ̀ wọlé. Nǹkan kan ní pé o ò ní fọ̀rọ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá ṣeré. Ó dẹ̀ gbà. Àtijọ́ tó yẹ ti débẹ̀, mi ò gba mínísítà, mi ò gba contract. Mi tọrọ ọbẹ̀, mi tọrọ gàrí, mi tọrọ fúra lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀, mi dẹ̀ ìyàwó ń bẹ̀. Ó wá ní lọ́tẹ̀ yìí o, Yorùbá ló kàn. Tá a bá dẹ̀ sa Yorùbá náà, èmi ló kàn. Eléyìí tí mo protect àwọn ọmọ tí mo gbé dání tó èmi náà fẹ́ ṣe present.
Baba Good evening to you, good morning to you, good afternoon to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Maiyegun Live. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining me.
Lórí Facebook. Lórí YouTube.
Yes. Sorry for the late start, by the way. Today is interesting as all days as well, because it is like a mixture of, as Yoruba would say, when the situation is beyond crying, you might just start laughing. But at the same time, Yoruba also have this saying, even if you couldn't laugh and you are crying, at the same time, you can see. You see that header for this broadcast, which is the APC, Egbekegbe's Manifesto. Listen, I just want to use their own words versus their former words, and then let you see the similarity. They are not actually the basis for this conversation today. These may not sound so good to you, especially so many of you who said you are investing your last card on Nigeria. You want to take Nigeria back. You want to, or Atiku said they want to rescue Nigeria and unify Nigeria and all that. But do you know that, you see that Emefiole, as it is now, is the #1 person if they do your election. Meanwhile, you are preparing for election, which is a joke on its own anyway. But they are preparing for power consolidation. At the same time, if you never forgot that the atrocities committed by Buhari and gang and the ones they are committing right now, they are so huge that living power is at a point not an option. So even if they have to physically leave, there must be a concrete guaranteed agreement that they will never be questioned. And as it seems, you see that Kolu is the one who is most favored to be your next president. I told you it's not going to sound good. I'll tell you how did you arrive at that? How did you arrive at that? I'll tell you. In 2019, when many of you indeed participated in that elections, and what transpired, and how the abracadabra started when the 3 Kardashians started coming in. All these raised different questions about the validity of that Buhari second term. But that is going to be a child's play to what you're going to have, because in 4 years, APC, Egbekegbe, they were able to prove to everyone that if you are looking for textbook definition of failure, they are exactly the replica of it, the main copy. But they had just one option, which they used very well: rigging. They controlled the military. They controlled the police. They controlled the thugs. They control your INEC, including the registration that you do. In one of the effed up moments of that charade of 2019 was the time there when INEC was called. You have been collecting data. You said you have data of over 70 million registered voters. Where did you keep those data? Can you bring them out? They said they didn't have the data. Really? Okay, what about the data of all the collated results and how they happened during the election? They said they have no data for them. So it was just like a boom, gone, because they have the capacity to do that, right? The capacity to do that, rather. So 2023, as we can see, with the emergence of Shetima as next to Tinubu, it seems as you can all probably you are telling yourself internally or probably innerly, right? That Shetima is the one that they have prepared to help them cement their legacy of bloodletting, their legacy of indebtedness, their legacy of terrorism, and other negative legacies that they have brought upon Nigeria. So, as a B, what did they do in 2019 that you can remember about their rigging, that you currently feel like, oh, we have beavers, Maiyegun, and other things that they have thrown at you that they will take away shortly. So Tinubu came out today, and I actually saw, you won't believe that, Goodluck Jonathan was there too, and they came out today to repeat the same lies that they created 7 years ago. But here is what will happen. 2023, if they hold your elections, remember, you are still battling with the increasing insecurity, which they are giving themselves an award for, that they have done so well. That alone means that not every part of Nigeria will participate or be able to participate in the election on its own, which can make them call it off as well. But if they have to call it on tomorrow, or eventually have to do it, you see this APC, Egbekegbe, and the failures that they represent and all that, they are in the better vantage position. The anger has increased, you will say, but the anger, or let me say, the camp has now been decimated. More or less like hungry young people using the body, using the head of the establishment as a body, as the entire body of a movement. Atiku, who participated in 2019, right? And some people believe that he probably defeated Buhari. Now he will not have that chance anymore. With the emergence of Obi, the southern Nigeria has become a depleted zone for Atiku. But there is something I want you to also remember. Like I said, APC, Egbekegbe, is not interested in election, which means they have their regular hotspot where they get or manufacture their numbers from, as always. And as it is, it seems that those who never even supported them, or even those who probably supported them in 2015 and didn't support them again in 2019, as they are kind of angling right now in their book. If you never supported them, you will never support them, which simply means their base is intact, while the base that challenged them in 2019 is now divided. So that presents positioned Kolu as your, you know what I mean? Because southern Nigeria was the point where Atiku was probably pulling a number. In fact, the one that I relied upon in 2019. Now, let's come back to what they are now cooking for you. You haven't seen propaganda. Are you with me? You will see real propaganda now that they have decided to go ahead and forge on Whatever the arrangement is, oh, don't worry, Maiyegun, they will beat them because you want to do election. They are not preparing for election. You see, in the camp of the Obi, ordinarily, if you want to tell yourselves the truth, we have the young people who believe that their own disagreement with the system can be, in a way, channeled through a sort of a political movement, which in return could gain power, like it happened in Kenya, and it happened in whereas again recently as motivation. But the difference here is this, as some of you probably don't want to admit, Peter Obi, as much as they are cooking him every now and then, but there are some certain things that are not cooked. And just like what you will see in Atiku, the statement you hear from Tinubu, and you quickly go up in rage. Remember, EndSARS is one of the reasons why young people in Nigeria today, especially southern Nigeria, that's one of the reasons why many of them are mobilizing tirelessly, because according to them, they need to take their country back. Obi represents that. His own deputy, who happened to be a former PDP member, a former election rigger, a disgraced former senator. I know Obedient don't like this. They've been abusing me all money. Anyway, doesn't matter. But that's the guy, and he came on TV yesterday when they were doing the 2 years remembrance for the EndSARS victims, especially the Lekki massacre. And their man came up and he said, the word massacre is debatable. You know, he's a scholar, as they say, he owns a university in Abuja. So he came out and he said, you see, it's true that the police assaulted the peaceful protesters. It is true, which is wrong. It is true that, you know, the police attacked them. Maybe 1 or 2 people died or so, but when you use the word massacre, it is debatable. You know, that's the problem with those who claim to be educated. It's the same thing when you see those who try to explain to you what Tinubu is saying in their defense. No, you don't understand what he's saying. Omoga, education, English is so difficult to. Maybe they talk, say this one, they live for Scotland, they don't even understand English. It is because in Nigeria, people choose their own slave masters differently. And whenever they choose, seriously, they are never wrong. I'm talking about those who were so enraged, or probably were able to use the relationship of Atiku and Sheikh Osama bin Gumi as a mean of listen, they are the same, they are connected and all of that stuff. But at the same time, it is a different narrative when it comes to Obi. But you see that guy, that daddy is the Shetima of Labour Party. But guess what? They're going to clean him, tidy him, polish him. My friend, shut up. You don't know what you are talking about. He's the brother to a man that we all know came from Mauritania, Bina Mauritius, where? Mauritania. The Fulanis from Mauritania. You get that? These are things that no longer matter because to some certain people, well, it's all right. But the guy said, massacre. And guess what? So many obedience. They agreed with him. They said, you don't understand. Even me too. Even me too. I disagree with the word massacre. Can you believe that some of them in defense, they were also asking for bodies? I mean, let's be honest. We know that some of them are saying that they said, we just use that as a campaign against APC. You know, this man is an educated man. I mean, that is why he said he's not there. He wasn't there, as if to say many of them were there when the military were shooting. We cannot rely on just a video. The guy know what he's talking about. We cannot just use word massacre. He's massacre that all of us are using for the past 2 years. It got to your turn. It is debatable. If Atif could come out and say, Lekki massacre is debatable, or more, for 1 week, you know what that would be? Or Tinubu come out and said, it's not different. Tinubu said, those who were there, what were they doing there? We need to question them. That's what Tinubu said. And for 2 years, many of you will never forget that. Anyway, just talking about the rage that built the movement, the political movement that Obi is enjoying. The head, in so many ways, they disagree with the body. The body is the young people who are tired of the system. And they believe, at least when they protested, they were not listened to. Maybe if they turn it into a political revolution and cast their votes and chase out these people that have made their country, or have made them strangers in their country. You know, you get that? That is determination. But at the end of the day, they don't pack goats with the crowd, Abi, because you see somebody like Dati, somebody like him, it doesn't have the experience. When I say somebody like him, I'm not just talking about him as an elite. I'm talking about people from northern Nigeria. When you talk about police brutality, they have no clue of what you are talking about, which is the genesis of some of you's rage. When you talk about bad governance, it means different things to them. So at the end of the day, the Obi movement is a mixture of, people with different understanding of what Nigeria is exactly and how or where they belong in that Nigeria. Most of those who are like the champion of Obi, they are from southern Nigeria. But you see, now that Obi needs to build a national review, it needs to mingle with the same rogues, criminals that contributed to what we have today. But since Obi is dead, you can ignore the rest, as people will say. But let's go back to Abuja. Maiyegun, you want to tell us about Tinubu. So why are you talking about Obi? I have to tell you. Yeah, I have to. Because some of you are living a lie. Do you understand? You are living a lie. Your emotion is what is driving you. And at the end of the day, in my own book, maybe when you finally realize, it will double your rage. And then you will come to that reality that you might be preparing for elections. These ones are preparing for power consolidation. And by all means, they will do it. But the question is, what are you going to do? What would you do? So, APC, Egbekegbe came. And then let's even put a picture. Let's paint a picture here. What is Nigeria? Where is Nigeria right now? So that we can at least understand if Maiyegun is just talking nonsense, or Maiyegun is trying to let you understand that Nigeria is fucked. And for everyone talking about taking over Nigeria or rescuing Nigeria, they are just talking bollocks. You know what that is? They are talking BS. Let's take a look at the economy. In 2014, 2015, when Tinubu was so sure that all they needed was just that power. They were so lyrical, if you remember.
We will work with you to build a Nigeria that is not corrupt.
spend a lot of resources on education.
So power consolidation. The failure of APC, Egbekegbe, have cost lives. And I'm talking about, I'm not just talking about those who are physically dead. I'm talking, those who are like dead. I'm talking about those who are also like a walking dead because of what Nigeria has done to them in the last 7 years. When APC, Egbekegbe, came in, Nigeria, according to the reliable sources or reliable information, which is probably out there as well, Nigeria economy was valued at over $500 billion. Nigeria Naira was at about 190 to 199 Naira to a dollar. Nigeria crude production daily was put at 2.4 million barrels a day. Nigeria electricity generation and distribution was put at 7,500 megawatts of electricity daily. Nigeria debt during this period as well was put at, total debt was put at 13 trillion naira, which was somewhere around 23 billion dollars. I want to, what other things should I remind you of? Let's go through the economy as well. A liter of petroleum, well, again, the Nigeria refineries were working at the time at 45% capacity, which then made the oil, the fuel importation and subsidy payment in Nigeria to be pegged at somewhere around the 250 billion naira. Now, fast forward to, well, economy, we're talking about economy here. The unemployment in Nigeria was put at 13.5 million people as unemployed Nigerians. Now, fast forward to 7 years after APC, Egbekegbe. We will start from the same, the early stage. Nigeria debts jumped to what is now confirmed to be over 120 billion dollars. And in Naira, you can say 63 trillion Naira. That puts every Nigerian, including a child in Nigeria, at in debt of 1.47 million Naira each, dividing that by your 200 million population. Unemployed, well, the Naira has crashed, and it has actually like sunk and buried in these 7 years. Nigeria Naira took a serious fall from 199 Naira to $1 to over 700 Naira to $1 today. Nigeria economy, which was valued at over 500 billion, is now being put at under 350 billion dollars. You can multiply that in Naira. That will give you a lot of trillions, by the way. The unemployment, like I said, jumped from 13.5 million to over 40% of the population, which you can, plus or minus put somewhere around 80 million unemployed. Talk about attracting or means of easy means of doing business in Nigeria. In 7 years, Nigeria's foreign direct investments plummeted as well, right? From the positive 2.3 to 2.7 growth rates in 2015 plummeted to minus 3% now, which means the direct investment into Nigeria has took a flight. Companies folded up. They've increased your VAT. They've increased your tax. They have decided they have borrowed from almost everyone, including the dead people. Dormant accounts are being frozen and the money inside them are being taken because Nigeria need money. Yeah? Pensioners have already been told their savings are going to be borrowed for a period of, to be repaid back for a period of 40 years, which they won't pay. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in Nigeria's history, in a very long time, the Central Bank of Nigeria have printed over 21 trillion naira for Buhari's government. Apart from the other loans they took from China here and there, which actually put all your loan at over 62, 63 trillion naira as we speak. Now, Nigeria has become poorer. Oil production in Nigeria has been, has nearly grounded, you will say, which happened to be the source of their forex in the first place. So from over 2 million barrels a day, it plummeted down to, below 1 million. At a point, it was at 800,000 barrels in a day. And the bunkers, those who are stealing Nigerian crude oil, they were having few days for 7 years until now that they decided to, well, let's make some scapegoats and then the media, blah, blah, then everything will die down and the business will continue. Tinubu believed that this legacy of Buhari on economy, it can turn it around when Nigeria will be servicing this debt. Nigeria would have to be paying over 2 trillion naira, minimum of 2 trillion naira every year for the next 40 years. What does that mean? It simply means that you will continue to have to suffer infrastructural decay, delay development, educational, funding for your education will continue to, you continue to be non-available. Support and the financing your healthcare system will continue to be a tall, high dream for many, many generations to come. Even though the politicians will always buy the easy life for themselves and all that. Let me show you a few things. They did promise that some of you today, you actually abused people. You took it upon yourself because you believed that, Buhari was coming to make a difference as then. And this failure, as no one is going to really challenge them, as we see in the system, yeah? So they will repeat the same before we get to that of Tinubu. Now, I remember when they had this on, when they said they were going to fight corruption. I don't know how many of you remember these words. These were the words of the APC, Egbekegbe, 7 years ago. Just some fractions of their word, okay? So we shall strengthen and make independent the EFCC, ICPC, and other anti-graft agencies and repeal the laws which inhibit their independence, right? We shall embark on public sensitization campaign and civic education against corruption in schools and town halls. We shall encourage civil society organization advocacy, blah, 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 right? So what is their record on corruption after 7 years? If I ask you. And if you don't remember, I'll remind you, okay? What happened is that under these criminals, the foreign banks or foreign countries, they have refunded Abacha loot severally to these people, right? And today we have it on record that the same loot have been relooted. In fact, one guy became famous under this APC, Egbekegbe, and his name is Magulusa Crook. Oh yeah, Magulusa Crook. Oh yeah, or Maguluta. Anyway, Maguluta Crook became the EFCC chairman under this criminal government. And it was just one spectacle after spectacle after spectacle until we realized that he is a big thief. Well, I didn't realize later, but eventually they had to expose him themselves that he is a bigger thief. That most of those, what he said they have recovered from the looters, they can no longer be accounted for. Money, houses, cars, and some of them are traced to his other ally, who is not a member of UFCC, but he's been making a kill for just being a friend of Luther Crook. And yeah, it's on record. And you know what happened to Magu Luther Crook? They gave him a Aso Rock trial, lock him up inside that room, and change him. You know the story. Those who were jailed for corruption, former governors, former ministers, who are members of APC, Egbekegbe now, they have received the presidential pardon. Go and sin no more and keep your loot as long as you work for this notorious group called party. Yes, that's their record. And you know what? Those that you thought were going to end up in jail, all they stole from you will be taken from them. 7 years ago, when APC, Egbekegbe, were doing all of their, all of their shows, they ended up being your leaders in APC, Egbekegbe, Femi Foni-Kayode, that I remember, Sha. That's the name that came to my mind, right? There are many others. So Femi Foni-Kayode was accused of collecting money from Dasuki, the same money that APC, Egbekegbe, used in their campaign, that it was meant for the, the fight against Boko Haram, but PDP shared the money. And then FFK, Femi Foni-Kayode, received his own share, and he got arrested for it. He got he got locked up for it. His case is in court, and it will probably never see the light again. Now, today, that same Femi Foni-Kayode is the spokesperson for Tinubu presidential campaign in APC. How ironical. It's Nigeria, so don't be surprised. Because 7 years ago, they told you, corruption is killing Nigeria. If you don't kill it, it will kill, Nigeria. If you don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. But rather, what they didn't tell you was that they were coming to legalize corruption. If you are not stealing under their authority, as in with their own authorization, then you are committing a crime. Or how do you explain it? Yeah, the Nigerian subsidy money that Buhari called fraud 8 years ago. Subsidy money, Nigeria was paying about 700, 800 billion naira for subsidy, on subsidy then. And you were buying a liter of petrol for 87 naira per liter, if you remember. Now, people said that was corruption. It doesn't make any sense. How could you be paying that much money to marketers when you can actually, fix your own refineries and produce what you actually use and all that? Well, they said they will remove it. They removed it in 2012. And that was the genesis and the beginning of the mobilization for the, the hand of Goodluck Jonathan, if you remember. So subsidy was fraud. Why would you be paying that much money? That's so crazy. It makes sense 8 years ago. Doesn't make any sense anymore. APC, Egbekegbe came in. They removed subsidy in Nigeria in 2016. You said you will protest, you will fight, this and that. Your oil price jumped from 87 naira to over 180 naira per liter. Remember that? Then they said they've renegotiated. It's going to come down to how much? 127 naira or something, if you remember. Then in 2017, 2018, they said they're removing the subsidy again. And this time around, it's going to be over 200 naira. Then you renegotiated it again. They brought it down to 140 something naira. But what they didn't tell you is this. While they are playing with your brain, with your head, and they are playing with your lives, during this period, they were actually paying subsidy in triple-fold than what those they called criminals were paying. 200 billion subsidy a year suddenly jumped to 600 billion, 700 billion, 1 trillion, 1.4 trillion, 2 trillion. Hello, in 2022, Nigeria's subsidy is, 2022-2023 budget, your subsidy is going to go up 4 trillion. When they ask them, come, this doesn't make any sense. People bring in fuel. Corruption, talking about corruption, and Buhari is the Minister of Petroleum, Abi. When you bring, how much liter of fuel does people use in Nigeria daily? They said Nigerians use 20 million liters a day. 20 million liters. Okay. From 20 million liters, it jumped. You said, no, Nigerians now use over 80 million liters a day. So if you bring 80 million liters today, which means if you fill your tank, the tank of your generator, or you fill the tank of your car, full tank, do you fill the tanks every day? For example, okay, maybe I shouldn't use generator because you have to use that constantly, Abi. 4 liter, 5 liter. I'm talking about people who actually buy thousands of liters as a supply. Do they buy them every day? So this is where their math doesn't add up. This is where the corruption was exposed, but nothing is done, and it remained. And Nigeria continued to pump money towards it, and nobody is telling you anything, Abi. This is where the whole thing doesn't add up. If I fill the tank of my car, let's say 50 liters, at least I will use that for, if I'm always like going everywhere, covering so many, you know what I mean? Maybe I'll use that for 2 days. This is not commercial now. Let's say commercial, we have to buy again and again and again. But I mean, 80 million liters every day. Hooray. So that is what Nigeria is paying for. So it doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, like, why is it not like 80 million today, 35 million tomorrow, 40 million next day, 60 million next, 25 million this weekend, or maybe weekend that you have party and all of that, eh? So there should be some level of fluctuation. At least people are not using the same fuel every day. 80 million, 80 million, 80 million. It was just a conduit pipe. And then you are now buying fuel at nearly the double of what it was then. Do you get that now? Then you had inflation as well. Somebody's saying something about inflation, which is all right. Yeah. Over the years, inflation and all that has contributed as well. But Nigeria continued to pump it and pump that. And then in these 7 years, Nigerian refineries died. And one of the solutions that APC, Egbekegbe, proposed 8 years ago was that if the refineries in Nigeria, if they are working, it will cut down the fraud called subsidy. It will create jobs. And at the same time, the money they are paying as exchange for that subsidy, right, can actually remain in Nigeria. Your subsidy has now gone up so much that even the money you make from crude oil sales, they are no longer regularly remitted anymore. You know why? Because those who are bringing finished product to Nigeria, they've already collected the money from the source before immediately you are selling your crude oil. And those who are bringing the finished product down to Nigeria to be paid, they just collect the money from the people you sold your crude oil to. And they collect, now nothing remain again. So this year alone, under this APC, Egbekegbe, between January and July 2022, Shishi, Shengbai, NNPC never remitted to Nigerian purse. Can you believe that? The country that is selling crude oil of 1.2 million liters, 1.2 million barrel of crude oil every day from January to July, no shishi. Have you asked yourselves why? It is because when they finally exchange all the money and everything, crude and everything up there, there's nothing left for you. So they said they will fight corruption, they didn't. Then they said they will do something about your local government system. They said they will give you they will say they will restructure Nigeria. 8 years ago, they said they will restructure Nigeria. APC, Egbe. Not only restructure Nigeria, they will ensure that the local government system actually have its real power, which include to be able to, access their own resources, provide their local security, as you can call them, provide their own local security without having to rely on a rigged system in Nigeria. They made all these promises and they reneged on them. On education, I remember they told you that they were going to give you unemployment allowance. Your children are going to get 2 meals a day as students. And all of you who are graduates with no jobs, I mean, you'll be collecting, those who are poor too will be collecting 5,000 naira. That one was there. But I mean, that they will establish at least 6 new university of science and technologies with satellite, blah, 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 and all that. I just thought I should share this with you. They even printed these promises. They printed them and they shared them in Nigeria. Here you get that they will create, jobs, 3 million jobs every year. If they have been creating jobs every year, the multiplier effect of 3 million jobs every year will probably have generated more than 40 to 50 million jobs today. There will still be people who have no jobs, okay? But if you have at least 40 million people working right now, they will be paying taxes. Nigeria will not be this broke and poor. Here you get. So the same characters who made all these promises, they have put together another set of lies. So I'm going to read out some of these promises that Buhari made. And you can tell me which of them I'm probably missing out on, which they have fulfilled. For example, to reduce fuel pump price to 45 naira per litre in the first year of our administration. We will provide free education at all levels, including university education. We will pay 5,000 naira each to 25 million jobless Nigerians every month. How many of you are collecting that money now? We expand electricity generation to 40,000 megawatts. Today, the Nigerian electricity grid has collapsed 21 times in 7 years under APC. The total generated electricity or megawatt in Nigeria today in 7 years of APC is put at 4,500 megawatts. It used to be 7,500 megawatts when these guys took over 7 years ago. Here you get. Nigeria was generating 7,500 megawatt electricity, and Nigeria was distributing 5,000 megawatt electricity at the time. Today, Nigeria is generating 6,000 electricity, put it that way, generating 6,000, and they said they are distributing 3,500, depleted and declined and decaying as well. They have not built any new power plants. They have not restructured or refurbished the ones they met, and they continue to die. Dakudaji, that's their record. So they said they will increase minimum wage to Nigerian, they will increase the minimum wage of Nigerian workers. That's one, is a promise they have kept. Now, that's one promise we know they kept. Nigeria minimum wage was 18,000 naira in 2015. Today, it is 30,000 naira minimum wage. So you can give that to them, okay? So that we are not always like, is there nothing good these people do? But the difference is that 18,000 naira minimum wage could buy you a bag of rice, could pay your rent of 5,000 naira a month, could at least feed your family than what you have today because of the inflation you now have, okay? A bag of rice today is 30,000 naira. House rent is God knows. And you know what it is, what your 30,000 naira can get you today, than what your 18,000 naira could get you. 7 years ago. So talking about inflation. So yeah, they fulfilled that promise. So they increased the minimum wage. Now, they also promised to stabilize global oil price at $100 per barrel. That's one nonsense promise that Buhari actually said, by making sure that the barrel of crude oil in the world market will remain this, which they have no control over. That was the man they are feeding you with all those propaganda and the Kool-Aid. Now, they said they will place every graduate on allowance after their youth service until they find employment. This particular promise was made by Pastor Ruga. He said there should be employment allowance for the graduate in Nigeria, unemployment allowance for graduates in Nigeria, to discourage them from crimes. While the economy while they continue to build the economy, they will be paying you. That the money they are paying politicians was so much that Buhari will cut down the money politicians are taking, and they will channel that money, including the money they've looted from you, looters. They will collect all of that back, and they will make sure that you have your own Libya under Gaddafi experience when APC come to power. They promised that. Pastor Ruga, who was promising the youth, said that. So they said they will provide free school feeding, including fruits, daily for all public primary schools, public primary school pupils, which they have been doing. And yes, is a huge scam. You know what that is? It is a conduit pipe, but they have been doing it skeletally in some places. So you can credit them on that and give them your own marking. They promised. Among them, they said they will revive oil refineries within 1 year in office. They never revived any. Rather, they went to the European Union to borrow them $6 billion in order for them to construct pipelines from Niger Delta oil straight to Niger Republic, where they are investing in expanding their refineries there to be able to process more crude oils rather than them invest it in Nigeria. So that hasn't happened. Not single one is built as of this day. They said they will crush Boko Haram and end insurgency in the first 3 months in office and bring back all missing girls in their captivity. In 7 years, we have seen more school kidnappings under these criminals. Chibok that happened before them was a child play and a campaign strategy. The man that supervised the kidnapping of those Chibok girls is now the awaiting vice president in APC. In 7 years, we have witnessed Jangebe kidnap. We have witnessed Dapchi kidnapping. We have witnessed the School of Forestry kidnapping in Kaduna. We have witnessed different mass kidnappings of school children. And under these criminals, yes, we have witnessed even worse. Fulani terrorists have now come into the play. Terrorism is now an industry in Nigeria. Before these rogues, terrorists were behind bars. They were standing trials for their crimes. When these criminals came in, they opened the door of reconciliation and rehabilitation for them, while they also helped them to expand the act of terror beyond the northeast of Nigeria. And today, a Lagos Abobaku, an Oshogbo Alimajiri, an humbled slave, obedient fool, and sophisticated moron will tell you there is no more bomb blasts, not just ethnic cleansing going on, and that is the Fulani terrorism, which have taken over land. Boko Haram have now metamorphosed into Boko Haram 1, Boko Haram 2, ISWAP. And they are no longer just in Borno. We now have ISWAP in Ondo. We now have ISWAP in Lagos. We now have ISWAP in Oyo, who have told us they are just waiting for the time to show us Pepe. No thanks to APC. Egbekegbe promise and fail. I mean, they told them all security is local, all crime is local. The people can protect themselves if they are allowed to. APC, Egbekegbe, that promised to end terrorism in 3 months. They have now turned it into an industry in 7 years. I just thought I should remind you, before somebody bamboozles you with the ethnic baiting, ethnic blackmailing, religious baiting and religious blackmailing, they promise never to get us to this stage. But look at us. And there is no sign you are going to escape them. No sign, no sign, no sign. So number 9 and 10. So number 11, they did promise no Nigerian will go outside the country for medical treatment. Today, forget the politicians that are going for now, okay, for a moment. Even you Nigerians, when you need this serious medical help on social media, you will be asking for donations because you want to take your loved one to India for medical help. You want to take your loved ones to Germany because of medical help. In 7 years, the president of Nigeria, of APC, Egbekegbe, is made the United Kingdom the medical tourist destination. So attractive that Kolu has been receiving the same treatments from the same NHS in the UK. What does that tell you? They did nothing. As Old Rock Clinic receives the budget of 3.5 billion naira every year, averagely. The last budget of the As Old Rock Clinic was put at 6.1 billion naira. Ladies and gentlemen, I can bet this with you on with anything that Buhari and his family, they probably have no idea what is the color of that clinic. They were supposed to be using this first-class presidential clinic. I mean, your presidential clinic is not even worthy of taking care of your president in 7 years. Hello? Medical tourism is on the rise. Do you know how much the United Kingdom is making from Nigerian politicians and Nigerians alike? Rich Nigerians, including poor Nigerians who are able to raise money to come here. United Kingdom is making over 1.5 billion pounds sterling conveniently from your health and medical visits. Are you with me? Let's go forward. They said that they will build 1 new refinery every year. I have treated that if they have been building one, by now, you should be waiting to open your 8th refineries now, built by APC. Egbekegbe, 8 years, no refinery. The ones they met are dead. In Kaduna, me can tell you this one, Do you know that they have refineries worker in Nigeria, NNPC? There is a refinery in Kaduna. Kaduna no get crude oil. When they asked them, why would you go and build a refinery in Kaduna? They said because building refineries in Niger Delta where they are taking the oil is too risky because Niger Deltans are criminals. They are going to attack the refineries. Haba, they take their oil, but they don't deserve to have working refineries that will create jobs, that will give them a stable electricity. But it is Nigeria. You see that Kaduna refineries, they have people working there. And guess what? They are collecting salaries. And the refinery never produced one single petrol. It has never refined any single crude oil. One drop of crude oil has never been produced there. Nigeria is spending over 200 billion naira. Are you with me? On salaries of those who are working in Kaduna refinery. And then other refineries in Nigeria that are producing absolute zilch. Nothing. APC. Egbe. So they said they will create 3 million jobs every year. So in 8 years, APC, Egbe should have created right now 24 million jobs, but they didn't. In 8 years, more than 70 million Nigerians lost their jobs. Others, they even left the job and ran away from Nigeria. Do you understand what that means? It simply means that they lied, and their lies actually have their victims, which now make Nigeria the poverty capital of the world. Sadly, they said they will stop importation of refined petroleum. That was on subsidy. Rather than stop importation, they have increased it. Rather than reduce how much they spend on it, they have triple, quadruple, quintuple, and all of those, topu, that comes upward. Because from 250 billion naira for subsidy, Nigeria is now spending how much? Almost 4 trillion naira on the same subsidy. Jobs are being lost. The economy is being stifled. The naira is being strangulated. All in 8 years. Inflation everywhere. They will wipe out corruption in the first year of the administration. But the people that will lead the campaign of Tinubu, they are criminals who are not just criminals, so they are going through different court trials. But as we speak, they are in power and they are serving the fiefdom. These are their promises. So Kolu has now rebranded these promises, and they are now going a little bit further, talking about Manifesto today. So when they gathered and said, we have a program for you, where Buhari has now decided to lead Tinubu's campaign. Omo, Olokpamako anybody last in. But here, a brief seconds. So that's Buhari there to unveil Tinubu's campaign manifesto, and they will build on, because Tinubu is going to build on Buhari's legacy and on his mandate, as they sang. see it's like Aluta. Anyway, make I read the manifesto to you, and then you can see the similarity. It's all jargons, but in Nigeria, it's all theatrics, and then until he begins to claim his victims. So here we go. According to the summary, it's about 65 or so pages of the manifesto, you say. Yeah, 65-page manifesto. But those who are able to put together the summary, they did us a good justice. I'll put some on the screen now, yeah? And I'll read them out. Then you see the similarity. And you'll begin to probably feel like, okay, hang on. I mean, what is he talking about? Exactly. You better get ready. Here, 10 promises that Tinubu is making to all of his believers. Ashiwaju, don't worry. You are our next president and all of that, yeah? He's made his promises and you can probably hold him on them, which you can't, by the way. So, he's going to build a Nigeria. Hang on, no. Is going to build a Nigeria. In fact, what you should put this way. Hang on. Yeah. Here are the 10 promises of Tinubu in his manifesto. Okay. He is going to build a Nigeria, especially for youth, where sufficient jobs with recent wages to create a better life. What does that mean? Decent jobs with decent wages. Okay. Being careful not to give number, right? Then they're going to invest in he said manufacture, create, and invent more of the goods and services we require. Nigeria shall be known as a nation of creators, not just of consumers. I've heard that many times. They said they will export more and import less, strengthening both the Naira and our way of life. I don't know what that means, right? But, I mean, to export more and import less. How? You would have to read their manifesto. They will say, Abi. So, he said he was going to continue assisting the farmers through enlightened agricultural policy that promotes productivity and assures decent incomes so that farmers can support their families and feed the nation. At least your food will be made in Nigeria. Your lunch will not be imported. Cassava, gari, ewa, or beans. Everything will be produced in Nigeria, right? So, by assisting the farmers. They said they will modernize and expand public infrastructure so that the rest of the economy can grow at, hang on, I think I have another side of, one sec.
We will work with you to build a Nigeria that is not corrupt. I bring you a message of hope.
We are going to spend a lot of resources on education.
So, let's continue the other part of the, what do you call it? The other part of the promises. So they will embolden and support young people and women by harnessing emerging sectors such as the digital economy, entertainment and culture, tourism, and others to build Nigeria of tomorrow today. What does that mean? Maiyegun, you don't understand. It's English too hard for you. That is one agbero that if you turn on the camera now and say, yeah, come and explain this to us, it will begin to abuse your papa, abuse your mama, and say, what's your papa? What about your papa? I said, explain this, because we know it's just all fabu bullshit, BS. He said, train and give economic opportunity to the poorest. Economic opportunities to the poorest and most vulnerable among us. We seek a Nigeria where no parent is compelled to send a child to bed hungry, worried whether tomorrow shall bring food. Really? Okay. So they will generate and transmit and distribute sufficient, affordable electricity to give our people the requisite power or required power to enlighten their lives, their homes, and their very dreams, to lighten your dream. Tinubu will give you power to lighten up your dream. Oh, great. Promise. Oh, pinky finger. Or let me say, yeah, pinky finger. Make basic health care, education, and housing accessible and affordable for all. And most importantly, establish a bold and assertive policy. See those free usage of those buzzwords. I'll tell you those buzzwords before I take this off my screen, okay? Most importantly, establish a bold and assertive policy that will create a strong yet adaptive national security architecture and action to obliterate terror, kidnapping, banditry, and all other forms of violence. Right. Director Scott, I hope you are jotting all these buzzwords down and learn how to use them in your own conversations, okay? Buzzwords like embolden, harnessing, emerging sectors, digital economy. People will ban Twitter, they are talking about digital economy. Oh. Digital economy. Let's see another buzzword on that, number 7. Economic opportunity. Poorest, vulnerable. What other buzzword you see there? Or buzz sentence as well. So, like this one. So that the parents will not have to worry whether tomorrow shall bring food. Then the other one is like to generate, transmit, distribute, sufficient, affordable electricity in the same sentence. So, all this in the same sentence by the people who have no idea what they are talking about. Seriously. I mean, 7 years now. Come on. 7 years. If you get all this, you could have shown something, man. But again, just say something, okay? They will generate, they will transmit, they will distribute. And guess what? They have Genko, Disco, and they continue to push people backward, back front, and all that, to why they can't have regular power supply in Nigeria, and why it is so expensive as well in darkness, to pay for darkness in Nigeria. Anyway, now you see this word as well, requisites, enlighten their lives, their homes, and their very dreams. Martin Luther King in the same, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Barack Obama, who else? Who else they use all this modern, what have you, yeah? In the same word, they will say, man, but you still say, Baba, not correct, oh. God damn me, man. So they make education, so they will make healthcare, make basic healthcare, education, and housing accessible, affordable for all. Accessible, affordable. Do you have any government-built accessible and affordable houses that you're getting in Nigeria today that is helping? Helping in that aspect. Well, again, it is just a free buzzwords. Then they went on. This is the interesting one, though. To confuse you, to make you think like, wow. Wow. Tinubu, these people, man, see sense. You know, if I enter a show, they say, listen, when Tinubu become president, he is going to make sure that, most importantly, that he establish a bold and assertive policy that will create a strong yet adaptive national security architecture and action to obliterate terror, kidnapping, banditry, and all other form of violence. They say, Cabo, Karila Yomodo. I mean, this is it. And the person with the person we define by this. They say, see, even when you are talking, see, Professor, when you are talking, I can feel that the terrorists are shaking. You have plan. Yes, thank you. Because it is not, according to, they will be like, it is not that hard. If I not do, I make you stone me, like they told you years back. Anyway, he's pledged the promise, and usually I prefer him saying them than what is written in the paper there for him. There's a part where they even kind of redesign what it should be like. That one is a stretch, you know, where he called it 16-point agenda. 16-point agenda. So their 16-point agenda is that, you know, spread across everywhere, where they spread the lies as well. Let me see if I can take this a bit of the cover off. So, like somebody said, Maiyegun, you can cry, you can do whatever you like. That's your next president. Baba, do you know how much I wish you luck? Because sometimes it is always better to let people kind of get what they want. You know, I've repeated this, I've said this many times, and I'll repeat it again, okay? Wherever it is that some of you are not paying attention to, that we are pointing out to you, this, I said before, will happen. And it's about to get interesting, where the Kool-Aid is going to be served. And it's going to be served, and those of you who claim to be educated, you are going to be the promoter of it. So though it's not about me, sure you get, with the picture of what they have done to Nigeria, if anybody is smart, if you really, really wish to take back your the country, you will never do that according to the workbook of these criminals who are actually in charge than you can ever imagine, or probably you admit. So what they have under, they said they are going to provide transformational leadership that has the ability to unify all of Nigeria and lead us to the attainment of shared goals and vision. Okay, they call it 7-point agenda, rather 7-point agenda. So they want to unite Nigeria. They are running on a Muslim ticket, and they are pushing a propaganda to make sure that eventually, when this comes to be, right, it will just make it obvious that you know, they can do anything and they can get away with anything, whether you like it or not. It won't matter anymore, and it's going to get worse. All right. So it's not about religion, they say, but they put this together because they need that religion. They need that religious push. They need that trust. So when the trust of these fanatics from northern Nigeria, the ones that have been in power of Nigeria for the past 7 years, who want to feel safe away from the crimes they have committed, and a sick old man will do that with a terrorist sympathizer watching him every now and then. Now they want to unify Nigeria, and they will push that. And before you know it, you will begin to feel like it be like saying a devil, they worry me. That makes me you know, to be questioning their Muslim wherever. But that is not an end to in itself. It is just a mean to an end for those who are paying attention. Now, they said that they want to leverage modern technology for digital transformation and economic growth. This is people who actually shut down a social media platform that they felt is so free and exposes and criticizes them for far too much and gives too much power to young people in Nigeria, that they shut it down. And Nigeria lost more than 400 billion naira for that 6 months that they shut Twitter down in Nigeria. They don't care, because this is probably like to all these the worries that are, propagating them. What does that? I mean, they are abusing our president. They are saying all nonsense. They are doing this and that and all of that stuff, because it's all about their president, as we say. So they are now promising to now leverage on modern technology. No, they are not moderating on it. They will shut down Twitter, shut down all social media, shut down internet when all of you become uncomfortable with what is coming for you. So they said they want to create conditions that allow citizens move and transact freely across the nation. Hello, are you serious? So what they are indirectly saying there is that move freely and transact is an indirect promise to the Fulani terrorists, which has come under serious scrutiny. And then the protection they enjoy under the APC, Egbekegbe. Now, this is a subtle way of telling them that they will be moving freely. And no matter what happened, they shouldn't worry themselves. Again, they also said that they are going to commence extensive infrastructural development or so by building basic foundational services. They said they will create 24 hours access to electricity, road, bridges, etc. that connects power, people, and businesses, ultimately improving the quality of living. Just words. Remember, words. Just words. So, 7 years they've been unable to show any of that. Now, they said they are going to build platforms that enable and empower homegrown businesses to scale and compete favorably in the global markets. But they have a chronic capitalism where Dangote and Bua from northern Nigeria are given the monopoly of importing grains into Nigeria. In fact, they have the key to Nigerian border than any other part of Nigeria, and that has helped in further impoverishing the people of Nigeria, because, yeah, that's what monopoly does, for those who have no idea. Again, they said that they are going to promote democracy. Really? Democracy includes the freedom of choice, freedom of gathering, freedom of association, freedom of assembly, peaceful assembly. APC, Egbekegbe, represents all negative things about that. In Lagos, where Tinubu comes from, the Agberos, who are always available to unleash violence and they are above the law, are going to probably become more notorious. Just remember that. Even if you have nothing you can do towards that, or if you have a lot you can do to help us encourage, save our future, save Nigeria, save all of us who don't want to be part of this charade, and break up this contraption, please. Please. Please break up this contraption and join us in ensuring of that peacefully, we'll say. So they said a lot of other jargons and nonsense there that you all know are just buzzwords, they'll say. So let's go back to the main screen now. As it is, there is nothing new. There is nothing motivating, and absolutely, to those of you who are Yorubas, who have been abusing and attacking and calling people Omoalis, sadly, there is no word on Yoruba nation there. For those of you who said those who are demanding for the peaceful dissolution and then the breakup of the contraption, where we can indeed handle our own affairs in a real republic controlled by the people that actually want to be on their own. I mean, democracy allows that, doesn't it? But in Nigeria, where you have demonstration of crazy, violence, and the rest. So if you have been calling people Omali because they are not interested in Tinubu, now there is nothing like Yoruba nation in that word, though. But when it was convenient for him to threaten them with Yoruba, ladies and gentlemen, he didn't miss his shot. Just a throwback. in Yoruba.
Tí ò bá sí àwa èmi tí ń dúró wájú yìí tí ń lérí ogun tí ní òkè Buhari nìṣó ká máa bá lọ. Kò lè di president. Ó ṣe kìíní olùlẹ̀. Ó ṣe kejì olùlẹ̀. Ó ṣe kẹta olùlẹ̀. Ó tiẹ̀ sunkún lórí tẹlifíṣàn pé láyé òun ò tún rán mọ́. Mo dẹ̀ lọ bá ń Kaduna wa rán ọ̀rọ̀ ẹkún kọ́ lélẹ̀. Àdúró tiẹ̀ wàá dẹ̀ wọlé. Nǹkan kan ní pé o ò ní fọ̀rọ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá ṣeré. Ó dẹ̀ gbà. Àtijọ́ tó rẹ̀ ti débẹ̀ mi ò gba mínísítà mi ò gba contract mi ì tọrọ ọbẹ̀ mi ì tọrọ gàrí mi ì tọrọ fúra lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ mi ì dẹ̀ ìyàwó ń bẹ̀. Ó wá ní lọ́tẹ̀ yìí o Yorùbá ló kàn. Tá a bá dẹ̀ sa Yorùbá náà èmi ló kàn. Eléyìí tí mo protect àwọn ọmọ tí mo gbé dání tó èmi náà fẹ́ ṣe present. Mi ò fẹ́ kán pa mí mọ́tàn.
You get, the man just won't be president. He's been honest and he used that Yoruba very well. He said, listen, you will not play with the Yoruba nation. You will not use us as a joke. Don't cry again. So Buhari became president. And you know what happened? But in their book, what he was saying was that when it is the turn of Yoruba, he is the Yoruba. Do you see where the Yoruba local comes from now? So it is called dog whistle. And that is why today you will see some of them try to they don't really have anything to, you know what I mean? They will just try and kind of a sort of blackmail you. But I'm so happy that a lot of people have kind of, they've wising up more than that. These days, if you call any Yoruba that rejected Tinubu, most of the people who are rejecting Tinubu, they are people who have never really, they have never really been on the side of Tinubu. So we have them in Yoruba land. I am one of them, anyway. So people now say, if you call anybody Omo Ali because of Tinubu, now they will respond and say, well, Leo Omo Eru Tori Yoruba Omo Luabis, we know ourselves. Yes, we do. We do. Because we know that, in fact, Tinubu is actually not even the issue. Now the desperados who are looking for their own survivor, because of appointment, because of the freebies, because this is all they know. So they are the ones who are manufacturing all these jargons. To what? Just to push a man that just want to be president, whether you get light or that's your problem, whether you get work or that's your problem. But the bigger picture is that whether na Tinubu, whether na Atifco, whether na Obio, none of them can explain to you in a clearer term without exposing their fraudulent nature. None of them can explain to you in reality how they are going to get you out of that, what Buhari has dipped you into. None. They have all fancy words they will tell you, beautiful things they will say, right? But none of them can sit down with you and put it like word for word, block on block, on how they are going to drag you back from this hell hole that Buhari has sunk you. Even the one that is going to enjoy the incumbency factor, the party in power and all of that, it can't. Because how would you explain, okay, and say, listen, oh, this is how I'm going to end terrorism. This is how I am going to end food inflation. This is how I am going to improve the naira. And this is how I am going to fund all these ideas. So let me give you an idea of what I'm trying to explain to you so that it won't just be like, Maiyegun, don't talk like that. Go and listen to Obi video. Baba, I listen to people's videos. I listen to all of them. Sure you get. And you might say, now maybe this slow one will not get sense. I agree, fine. Because that may be something, that may even be how I sound to you. That Maiyegun, you sound to me like you don't even get sense, but you are talking about Obi. I'm not saying that Obi no get sense. I'm not even saying that Tinubu, they are sensible people who knows how to play to your fantasy. And for those of you who support them for what you support them for, they must have appealed to the best parts of your own fantasy. Something that aligns with what you have, another share. So therefore, they are going to be sounding intelligent to you. Me, I can tell you every day, all day about Nigeria problems. Now, when I begin to tell you what I believe should be the solution, that's a different ball game, Abi. When you now ask me, okay, Maiyegun, this is your solution. How we go take fund them? These are the questions that we then expose that everything they say to you, they just have to tell you what you want to hear. They just have to put together a team that can speak directly to that your mumu button and press them. No matter where you hide your mumu button, no matter how much you kind of frown your face, I'm so intelligent, nobody can deceive me. Let me tell you something. There's something I found here. Oh, that you are deceiving yourself. Because you see those people, they are not stupid too. Now you, we believe, say you smart and you believe them. Now you can't be that kind. So, like I said, you can tell me I'm slow. Maiyegun, you are the slow one, Jerry. You don't even get sense. Now, put it this way. To fight security, that means you will need the personnel that are going to be dedicated for that purpose. So in Nigeria, corrupt military, which has been so corrupt since they tasted power, and they remain corrupt for eternity. So what that means is that if you say, oh, I want to tackle the Boko Haram, the Fulani terrorists, and the rest of them, definitely you would then have to, like what? You would have to draft, I don't know, how you're going to do that without suspicion, Abi. You would have to draft your own special squad out of the military, hand their loyalty, oath of secrecy, then trained them like for that same purpose, and then unleash them until that problem disappears. So that is solution, Abi. Which means if you really want to do it, you will not have to give room to that ethnic, religious, tribal, business, and every coloration that has made it something that can no longer, that can never go away, Abi. So a serious person should be able to come on screen and say, hi, as a president of your Nigeria, if I want to tackle the problem of insecurity, I know that we have a compromised security architecture. That one alone will just make the military be like, sure, you know, Nigerian system, Abi. So which means we would have to develop a special squad drafted from the best of the best and loyal soldiers that we are going to train for that purpose of going after and cracking down on all armed terror groups in Nigeria. Now, if you say that, you probably know what you're talking about by saying, then we will deploy all of the available weapons in our own arsenal to let them know you know what you are talking about. Then you can make mention of some strategic weapons that you know Nigeria have. I mean, if you want to be Nigeria president, you should have an idea of which weapon are in the armory of Nigeria, shouldn't you? If I want to be your president, I will want to know everything. So that when I speak, you will know I have an idea of what I'm talking about. Like, oh, we have this, we have that, we have this one, we have that one. We have trained personnel for this and that. They will be handy to coordinate this and coordinate that, and not just that, to make sure that this never happen again. I am also drafting this particular law. This law, will push it and make sure that it passes through the parliament, so that it becomes, this bill, and it becomes law, so that we will empower our judiciary. Then we will empower, our prison system to build a special prison like Guantanamo Bay. So every terrorist arrested, including their family members, they will be put through that trial. And if they are found guilty, they will serve their punishment in that special prison for terrorists there. And guess what? To build the capacity, I'm just speaking to you now like somebody. We won't tell you, say no waiting they talk. Something that none of your presidential candidate can tell you. None. They will be throwing grammar, Abby. So how much is it going to cost to build a 10,000 capacity or 20,000 capacity prison, special prison for terrorists in Nigeria? In the desert is ash. Remember human rights, whatever, but put it in the desert where they come from, where they have already acclimatized, right? 10,000, 20,000. How much is it going to cost? Oh, it's going to cost $1 billion to build one facility like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my plan to end terrorism. Number one, we will make sure that we clamp down on religious preachers, religious recruiters, recruiting cells in northern Nigeria. We will go to every part of Nigeria that they have recruiting cells where they keep all these terrorists. If you are arrested, you will go through the system. And if the system says you have one or two things to do with terrorism, your involvement will determine your punishment. Now, a presidential candidate saying that automatically will lose the election with the fanatics and terrorists in northern Nigeria. You know that. Because they will say it's coming for their religion. All this thing is talking about. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that so many people from that part will not see that you are actually saying that you are, So where will you get the money from? Tell them. Oh, I am going to tell us what you're going to do. Look at your naira. Look at your electricity. Look at the, the economy generally, Sha. So if somebody says he's going to improve your economy, he should be able to tell you block by block how he's going to do it, where he's going to get the funding. And if somebody says, oh, and remember, that Nigeria is servicing their debt every year with over 2 trillion naira. This year, Nigeria is spending over 2 trillion naira. Divide 2 trillion naira into 12. 2.4 trillion naira into 12. That is like, how much? Over 200 billion. Yeah, every month. Abi? Yeah. 200 is like paying debt, servicing debt with over 200 billion. And when you pay that for 12 months, 2.4 trillion. Now it's going to go up to 4 trillion. And it's going to go up to more and more to the point that the economy continues to. So if somebody's going to bring that back, they must be able to tell you. For example, in 2015, I'll tell you this one. In 2015, Buhari, when they came in, they said 22 states in Nigeria are unable to pay their salary. No, if somebody want me to say something about healthcare, okay, let me give you my idea. Let's assume that they are real. The reason why I probably don't want to go too much is because at the end of the day, you realize that to do all of this as Nigeria is impossible. Nigeria is so poor that the system that is draining you is what they're asking you to keep, but change the head. Don't worry, we'll cut costs here and there. But let's say you want to build your healthcare. I mean, for example, in Nigeria, that means you will have to invest in education a lot. I mean, if you have a person who say, I'm going to invest a lot in education, not in health education, just health education now. In South Africa, they have a budget that is kind of over 20 or so billion dollars for education for the entire country. That is different from other budgets from different municipals, communities, and regions and all that in South Africa, who are also like budgeting for the same thing as well, education, health, and all that. Abi? So when you invest in that education, a lot of it in that education, children will choose courses that are going to be, I mean, you invest in that education, which means you improve in your curriculums that encourages your children to pick up knowledges in the areas that really matters in today, technology, health, and others like that. So let's say, I mean, from that moment, you begin to have the number of children who are going to go into healthcare. They're going to be trained, and when you invest enough in them, yeah, it simply means you have invested in the raw material, the human resources that is going to power the life-saving sector, health. It simply means you are training your own people, the best of the best of the best education in health, so that when they are done, they have access to standard, conducive, standard hospitals with conducive working environments. I'm talking about modern hospitals with good pay. This investment, you know what they do? They give you a healthy nation, which means Nigeria on its part could easily recruit more than 20 million health workers that will work in every health department in every part of Nigeria. But the problem is this: the politicians are not interested in investing in any education. So people are therefore getting these trainings, right? So that if opportunity presents itself, they can just leave Nigeria, where they can be well appreciated. It is sad, isn't it? So politicians don't believe in that. So therefore, they don't believe in the your health sector. And when they talk today, they will tell you they will ban medical travel. They will ban people from going abroad. That's their promise for health sector. Nothing else. Because you can't even run any health institution in any part of the world, anywhere in the world, without having a reliable, stable electricity. If you have what you have in Nigeria, they are not hospitals, okay? They are just consulting clinics, which are not different from waiting, or let me say, glorified mortuaries. I am not sorry to say that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? So it simply means that if you have access to any standard health service in Nigeria that runs their regular, like normal, it should be, then you realize that it is in fact not really meant for the commoner, that the public health service could have covered and serve ordinarily. But if you see those who actually goes to these best hospitals in Nigeria, the rich people, they go there for consultation. And so many of them that I won't forget. Gani Faweimi. You remember Pa Gani Faweimi? Now, Gani Faweimi wasn't a poor man, wasn't a rich man, but it was like, you know him. He could afford his own healthcare. He could go to any part of the world, and he could afford healthcare in any part of the world as well. But he had his own maybe 40 years or 50 years doctor, as well as health care he uses in Nigeria, or health center he uses in Nigeria. So one day he came to the UK, and then somebody said, why don't you just go for a check? Like, you know, just like jokingly, like, you know, you could go for a check here and all of that. So, and he went. And from that moment, they told him that he had cancer. Something that they said as, you know, that was the moment they told him he has terminal cancer. And he said he's been scanning for this for years. Like, even when it was a thing, then that his own, you know, doctors, they've run all these things on him. They do that every now and then just to make sure that he's fine. He did one before he left Nigeria. They said, we are sorry. Chief Gani Fayemi died a year after that. And you all saw that, Abi? Now, so the rich people in Nigeria, what most of them do is that they go for those consultations and they come here. They call it overall cleaning. They don't believe in the system that is supposed to care for 200 million people. Okay? And yeah, you can't invest in that. You can't create that. Even if you have to dream of it, the Nigerian, you know, Nigeria as a country, right, is the amalgamation of over 250 ethnic nationalities. There are some places whereby if you want to plan any healthcare, education, infrastructural development, and any other thing you want to plan for them, you have to tailor them along or according to their culture, tradition, religion, or else. It is going to be an attack on them, and they would destroy them. If you don't believe me, you can ask Goodluck Egbere Jonathan. Goodluck Jonathan did something that he believed was the greatest weapon against ignorance, against poverty, and every other vices that you see out there. I mean, every other vice you see out there. He started building schools. Can you believe that Goodluck Jonathan built 11,000 Almajiri schools in northern Nigeria? And can you also believe that 95% of those schools, right, today are no longer being used for the past 7 years? Can you believe that? Maiyegun, not just a true number. I'm saying something to you. You think I'm making that up, right? The numbers I'm throwing up is actually not what I want you to listen to. It is the attempt of when people feel like from southern Nigeria, they have a solution to Nigeria. And that solution is one size fits all solution. Then you get into it, then you realize that you have been duped. Then another person is warming up somewhere to tell you that the same thing again. And somebody like me feel like, well, I mean, you know, I'm not up for that. I am not up for that. Almajiri schools. Jonathan built almost or even over 11,000 Almajiri schools in northern Nigeria. He gave them uniforms, books. They were feeding them. They were giving them, you know, this one that they are doing school feeding. Jonathan was feeding their school. They were going home to get them. They were like, you know, they were giving them money to go to school. Can you believe that? Children, they will say, oh yeah, give them. If you don't give them something, they won't go. You need to lure them with something. And according to their report, they said school enrollment was increasing around that time. So was the Boko Haram terrorism. And Boko Haram is book is haram. Foreign education or Western education is haram. Jonathan gave them Almajiri schools where the children were being taught Quranic studies, and they were being taught the normal Western education where they can be able to, like, you know, exist in today's world without parting from their religious and every other belief. But, you know, the children started telling their Boko Haram brothers and sisters that, no, they want to go to school. You know, children that they were grooming to be married off, sold off as brides. They started showing up in schools. They started reading and writing. In that Jonathan's 5 years, the enrollment in schools increased. And they said, we don't want you to go to school anymore. Because once you are educated now, You are going to see us as people who are not educated enough, so you won't marry us. You won't be the 15th wife of a 90-year-old man. That is against our culture. This is why we don't want our children to go to these schools. So they started burning the schools, chasing the children away. So in fear, some parents they stopped sending their children to schools. So in 7 years that the Boko, they kidnapped them in Shibok. They kidnapped them in Dapchi. They kidnapped them in Jangebe. They kidnapped them in Kaduna. They kidnapped them in Bauchi. All of this up north, today in northern Nigeria, they told us that over 5,000 schools have been shut down in northern Nigeria from across over 18 states. Why? Because of the fear of terrorist attacks. Now, this is happening right now in Niger State. Over 600 schools were closed down because of this Fulani terrorism. Because most of this part are now controlled by the terrorists. In Katsina State, where Buhari comes from, more than 200 schools have been shut down. Now, that's not just that. Kaduna, where El Rufaya is the governor. In Kaduna, schools have been shut down in some part of the state as well. More than 150 schools are shut down because of this terrorist threat for months or years now. All the schools Jonathan built for them, they are overgrown with bushes now. And their children, they are back. Those who were kidnapped from those schools, they sold them off as slaves, sex slaves. 5-7 years after that, 8 years after that, they are bringing these children back as mothers. I'm talking about a 13-year-old children that they kidnapped from their dormitory, from their way to school, from their schools 8-7 years ago. They are bringing them back as mothers of 2, 3, 4 children, as the wives of repentant terrorists. 150,000 terrorists, repentant terrorists are currently in Borno State. They are bragging about them. They are happy. They are creating communities for them. They are feeding them from whatever they are getting from Nigeria. And all of this will make you understand that if you want to say you want to fix Nigeria, you are just talking to the mirror. You are a liar trying to talk to the vanity, or let me say to the fantasy of the Nigerians that have been so abused, assaulted, browbeaten by the system that is not ending anytime soon. Or something go break them. Now, when you finally realize that Maiyegun is saying the truth, it will get you more angrier that it took you so long, and energy, emotion, including lives lost, to realize this. The only thing that can work for Nigeria, that can bring peace or unity, as they will say, is to let everybody go their separate ways. Let Tinubu run to be Yoruba president, and let the Yorubas decide if is that influential and popular and so up for it to be the one to lead Yoruba land. If he crushed that and he becomes the leader of that Yoruba land, he is a Yoruba man, I'm a Yoruba man, you are a Yoruba man or woman, I mean, you know what I mean? Then Yorubas will decide on that. Let Obi be the president of the Igbo nation, the Biafra, and let them face whatever ideas he has, everything he has, that he could turn everything, you know what I mean? That second Niger bridge that they built, which I believe that when the Biafra or the Igbo nation finally gets their own independence out of this whole contraption, you will now realize, I mean, what? You will demolish it. You will dredge that river. You will widen it. Then you will build your port there. And then those who are telling you that you are landlocked, with Obi's idea, with his brain, with his vision, It will turn that place around, and you can have your own total break from the chain of a demagogue that Nigeria is holding on us. Same thing with us in Yoruba land. Same thing with us in Arewa land. You know why? Because none of this togetherness is in anyone's interest. It is in the interest of those who are taking their turn. It's my turn, not your turn. No, it's your turn. It's not my turn. People can build. We were building, we were developing before they forced us to remain, to be part of this fraudulent one Nigeria. Now, everything about it is fraud, and every promise that comes with it is fraud. And then you believing them is just what I don't understand, because they will give you the same promises again and again. Yes, they will give you electricity. Oh, they will create jobs. Oh, they will make sure that hospitals are built. They will make sure nothing is going to be done. You are believing them because these appeal to your fantasy. But we can be better off, and we will respect ourselves a lot if that is what we do. Atiku can go back to the up north. I mean, I even said breaking up of a country takes a lot. It takes a lot of processes. With the day Nigeria is going to sit together and say, finally, we've decided to go our separate ways. You are going to share the assets of Nigeria. At the same time, you are also going to share the liabilities, the debts of Nigeria. So the day that it's just going to be like a divorce. Are you with me? The northern Nigeria would have known where their border reaches. The eastern Nigeria will know where their border ends. The western Nigeria will know where their border ends. If we go our three separate ways. If we go our other ways, let me tell you how that will happen. The people that are going to pay less in the Nigerian liabilities, the debts, are going to be the Easterners, the Igbos, as well as the people of Niger Delta. They will pay less in that debt. I'll tell you how that comes by. First is going to be the assets. What are the things that they built in your own part of Nigeria, in the name of Nigeria? Road, airports, seaports, schools, hospitals, police posts, ministry, or any other thing they have, anything they have in your region, you will calculate everything and say, okay, what's in Nigeria get for here? So they will value that. Any of them that is part of any loan, whether they took the loan 40 years ago or 50 years ago, the document will show now your own share of waiting then take the money to be that. In the name of Nigeria, not what you did with your state or what they did there. No, I'm talking about in the name of Nigeria, federal government, federal this or that. So same thing in the western part of Nigeria. Now we go pay second, the northern Nigeria will pay the highest. The western Nigeria will be the next. The Niger Delta will be the one after. Then the Igbo nation will be the least that will pay any liability when Nigeria break up. Because they have been the least with any Nigeria presence in any part of Nigeria. You can go and check that out. So, for us in Yoruba land, when Nigeria break up, they will calculate whatever they use Nigeria or calculated money. They will do all that and say, now your share be this, because we are keeping everything. Although, if the other way that some people told me will finally resolve it, which is that if we no fight, Nigeria no dey break. Now, when we fight, whatever is left in the name of Nigeria in your region, after the fight, the shooting, the fire, everything, they will then burn everything down. That's what will happen. The Lagos airport, the seaport, everything would have been burned down during the fight for Yoruba nation, for those who said we are going to eventually have to fight. But again, options do. I'm just telling you the processes that will eventually say, finally, last, we are free. That's how it's going to be like. It's a process. That's why it can take you 10 years to finally conclude the final separation of Nigeria. But you see, one day soon, that process is going to start. If those who are the owners of Nigeria that shared Nigeria hold it to this point, if they cling on to it furthermore, we can see that it's not going to be for too long. Do you understand? So, the first process, which I was explaining before, the process of a boom, 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 we'll get to that part. And I actually love to avoid that, especially if we all actually want this. We will never throw a single banger before we get Yoruba nation. You can go and quote me anywhere. So when it finally comes to be, so they will now say, wait, how much is Nigeria debt? After you have shared all of the properties, the assets, okay? The airport, the road, even as bad as they are, it doesn't matter. Everything. They will now say, how much is Nigeria debt? If Nigeria break up tomorrow, for example, let's say if Nigeria is going to break up in December, we want to use this present Nigeria as a sharing formula. Sure, you get me now. So it simply means that Nigeria's debt put at over 62 trillion, or in dollars, put at over 120 billion. So after you share everything, I know my Igbo brother, my Biafran brothers are like, Maiyegun, your brain correct. Continue. Please continue. Because I'm saying the truth. If they say we share Nigeria, there is little or next to nothing Nigeria can say they've done in Igbo land. That is 100% facts. And that is, I'm not saying they didn't do anything, no. Sure you get. Now, when they say we share Nigeria, we say according to what we gain from Nigeria, now Igbo people go pay the least. Do you know that's a fact, eh? No, it's not. Okay, fine. Let's leave that. So, when it now comes to asset sharing, we'll keep the assets. When it comes to the liability sharing, they will now say, since it is 120 billion, and Buhari has concentrated whatever northern Nigeria, is concentrated Nigeria's resources in that part of Nigeria, including when they took loans. They even told them, now there you go spend them, now here you go spend them here. So, northern Nigeria will likely take about 80 billion from Nigeria Gbese. And they can keep the airport, they can keep the road, they can keep all the hospitals they built, they can keep everything. They will gain a lot of that, they will gain a lot of that. So then they will gain the debt as well. So northern Nigeria will take 80 billion. Maiyegun, how did you arrive at that? Don't ask me too much questions. Are you not following? Now there, the voting day. Then be the owners of Nigeria, they, you know what I mean? So they will keep a lot. They will gain a lot. Oh, seriously, they will gain a lot. Then they will go to Niger Delta. That one a robbery. But nevertheless, they will still pay more. You know why? They have used Niger Delta to borrow money. You see those relics called the refineries in Niger Delta. If you know how much Nigeria has used that relics to borrow from generation to generation. Now, when we say, yeah, keep the refinery, keep all the relics, now then you go come see the bill. Say, now you be next to. You go take 10 billion from this. No, what am I saying? 20 billion. You will take 20 billion from Nigeria BC. Then on their way back, they will stop buying Yoruba land and say, you can keep everything, but your own BC is 15 billion of this BC. How you want pay them? They can then phone the Igbos and say, we know you no go pay us. We know say shishi, you no go send. But we just may will tell you, your own from this whole BC of Nigeria, now just 5 billion. So we talk, say, if you pay us, then we can settle this whole thing. Everything can be bygone, people can be bygone. We will not meet again. That is how to peacefully dissolve Nigeria. No wahala, no fight, no nothing, no. There's no point in hating yourself. So, hey, you shut up, your mouth. We'll rule over you forever. You won't rule over anybody forever. No, nobody is going to rule anybody forever. But for every generation, there's always going to be a time. There's always going to be a time that the history will be rewritten, change. In a way, something is going to happen. So somebody said, Yorubas will say, Otio, I'm still coming there. You are rushing. They say the money they are generating from Yoruba land alone is saving about 18 to 22 states. If Lagos State stop allowing Nigeria to share their VAT, which is over 400 billion in a year. They say 22 states, including 14 states in northern Nigeria, their governors go carry bowl. Yoruba states are included though. 22 states in Nigeria. If Lagos say they know they give, they know they share our money again, everybody go in your own way. 22 states will not be able to survive for 2 months. Even their governor, as they are living large, they go carry bowl, do bambi ala. Now. Please help us now. Bambi ala now. Ashiriabo now. Which kilo letoi? That's to tell you that, you know what I mean? Yorubas can say, okay. Yes, and you can keep the airport, keep the seaport, keep everything. Or everything there we give you. Nigeria, yeah, it's Yoruba nation now. If I am one of those that will be there, for example, me, I will just say, okay, good. Baba Janle Koko, Ojo Pagogo, Abi Ojo Pashekeromo, you know. Baba, ever more historical bill, what they have been taking from Yoruba land from 1966 when they forced Yoruba to be part of this Nigeria, and since then they've been depleting us because we go calculate how much Nigeria has milked from Yoruba land. They will compare it with the value of those assets that they say Yoruba will gain. Say, okay, what is the value of this airport? As we go demolish and build a proper modern airport. Not this one. How much is the airport, Lagos airport? They say, how much is this other one there? They say, okay, yeah, the dotan from the total. How much? They say, okay, we don't do that. We will do that and we say, you know what, in Nigeria, thank you very much for this meeting. Now, the whole us. We can go talk to the Igbos. Me Hausa, Fulani, Ijog, Kanuri, everybody, all of you go do meeting. Now, still the whole us. And I bet the Igbos will be like, you better don't call, my friend, don't call this number again, no. From now on, any number from Nigeria, no, they enter this country. Any number from Nigeria, once it gets to the space and whatever of Biafra land, disconnect, not reachable. No call this number again, no. If you come near our border, now fight, you they look for. So talking about fight. Some said Maiyegun, to get freedom is not easy. We must be ready to fight. I said, well, I mean, that's not a bad idea, is it? It's not. But are we ready? Maiyegun, you don't understand. Okay, fine. But there's something you must remember as well, okay? When you finish fighting, yes, there will be nothing to share anymore. Everything, possibly everything burned from all sides. All those roads in northern Nigeria, all those airports, all those schools, everything, boom, 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 here, Eastern Nigeria. Those of you where you still feel like nothing day. The whole place, that's what fight will do. Okay? And by the time you finally finish, yeah, there will be nothing to share. No, there's nothing to share anymore. We just say, I don't know. Greet them for us in Arewa. We here, to do a republic. We are going to build. We are going to recover from the rumbles. Nobody go talk about debt or property or asset. No, nothing. Everything don't go. After fight, you will have to sit down together. And say, oh yeah, how do you know? Greet them for us in Arewa. Okay, Shuku, when you reach Biafra, save this number. This is my number. And make sure that you had me as a friend on Facebook. To do our nation on Facebook. I don't know. Greet them for us in Arewa. Because there's nothing to discuss anymore. It's just to say bye-bye you. I think that's an option that should be the last one. Because it's not the palatable one. Some of us may not even live to tell the story. But like some said, their children will live. And they would never have to face what they faced. Something that is a sentiment that I feel kind of, it's a sentiment that they will say, well, if it leads to fight, we'll fight. We'll fight so that our own children will never have to fight again. I say, oh, yes, let's fight. Let's fight. But at the same time, as they say, if you want peace, prepare for war. See me, they quote like a Socrates. I've been Martin Luther King. I'll be waiting you go call me. If you want peace, prepare for war. Sometimes that war is not physical war. It is psychological war. And you can only fight and win psychological war if you understand what you are fighting and what you are fighting for. I was going to take a picture. You know what I mean now? So yeah, I just thought I should say all this, even though if they don't really matter to the title and all that. The reason why somebody like me is not interested in trying to, Maiyegun is your candidate. Alaye. She so far no detaya unani. This whole thing is catch-22. Rat race. Honestly, it's just like a Kool-Aid. It's like it's like opium. The opium of yes, we have to fight. You are not like this. All of you, some of you be. We have to fight. We have to fight for our. But you are not fighting right. You are fighting according to their rules. They dictate the rule, and in this case, it is in their favor. So what is your own plan B? Because my own plan B is that once they don't shank you, once they don't dribble you and you are hungry, me, I go day here. Okay? I'm not going to laugh at you. I'm just going to say, how for do? And Nigeria. Would you now believe that following the dictates, following the rule book of the people who put us here is not the best idea? Somebody said the reason why he is supporting Tinubu is because, Buhari was controlled by cabals. That Buhari is not sharp. He's controlled by cabal because a lot of people came together to make him president. But you see, Tinubu is a godfather. Nobody can control him. Nobody can put him in it. But hello, have you listened to Tinubu himself tell you how is going to touch your life other than what they have told you? I mean, have you listened to him? Have you? Or you have learned to try to understand what he is saying? Like some of you were also trying, or you did try to explain to us what Buhari was saying. Today, the result of Buhari was trying to say, today is that Nigeria you have now. So all of you now are now trying to tell us what Tinubu is trying to say. In 4 years' time, you will be back, Abi, shouting again. In fact, you're going to call us Welling Abi once your Tinubu becomes your president, or what's going to happen? My thing is this. For those of you who knows that PDP, APC are just like a Siamese twins or Siamese twins. So when they finally punch you in your gut, just remember, if you want peace, if you want unity, if you want development and progress, if you want to respect other people and you want to be respected as well, right? It can be done in this kind of Nigeria. I mean, the choice is yours. We are all going to experience it. We are all going to live it, right? But if you can think of how much difference you can make if the energy you are putting towards this election, one Nigeria and the rest of them, if you put half of that, into demanding that Nigeria should move for a constitutional change that will then pave way for a referendum process, and that can even be the beginning of the healings that Nigeria need. A path that the criminals, lazy pickpockets, scavengers that you call leaders, empty barrels, bunch of incompetent crooks, that is a path they don't want you to tread. They don't want you to take. Because if you try that, that could be the end. Or should I say, I'll use could. That could be the end of that Nigeria, their golden Nigeria, with their golden feeding bottles. And this time around, their feeding bottles are not filled with milk and honey of Nigeria. Their feeding bottles are filled with the blood of the innocent people, which you that are innocently supporting them as well is also vulnerable. As we say, the survivors of yesterday, they are the victims of today. The survivors of today, they are the victims of tomorrow. And on and on and on like that. Every average Nigerian is living for the day and for the day and for the day and for the day until they will have to not have to live for the next day. Now that is the world they created. This is their creation. This is their imagination. Whatever else you have in mind about Nigeria, they are your own imagination. And if you compare, you will realize that your imagination, your vision, your expectation and hope of that Nigeria they keep telling you is completely in contrast to theirs. And that is why you can continue to ask yourself, so how come it's not changing? How come things are not changing? How come this, that stuff? It's because the more things change, the more they remain the same. Because you choose to see what you want to see, expecting a very glorious, different result, then you keep getting the same thing again and again. Have you asked yourselves why? Because you love to live in denial. You ignore the obvious, and you continue to tell yourselves that no, what you think is going to be will be. Even when you think you are winning, you are losing. Ask those who ran about for APC, in 2015, 2014, 2015, including 2019, they were happy. They felt like they've taken their country back. Oh God, we thank God. We thought it's impossible. How could we manage to have defeated an incumbent president? Oh my God, the people have the power back. They felt they won. So at the end of the day, it didn't take them 6 months before they realized that they've made the gravest mistake of their lives. But just like the victims of fraud, The victims of the people who have been scammed, you know what they do? They double down because it's unbelievable to believe that with your intelligence, your exposure, with your eyes wide open, you still fell for their scam. Something that people don't like to agree to. A shame that so many people supporting APC, Egbekegbe, still carries with themselves today. So many of them carry that shame to their graves. So that shame, admitting to it, is so difficult for so many of them that celebrated the victory of change. They won the election, but they lost the battle against a rigged system that is not in their interests. And for 7 years, they have been ruining the whole experience. They have been dying. Those who are dead and those who are not, those who are like, not physically dead, but they're like walking corpses. So, if you agree or if you don't agree, the bottom line is that when you expect a different result, even when you think you are winning, but you are still losing. Think about that, okay? Obi is a very good example of what winning the election and losing the battle. You win the election that says, election of we want to defeat our oppressors, only for you to realize that you've not lost the battle, not even a tiny bit of it, of defeating your oppressors. Because at the end of the day, in the scheme of things, your oppressors, they are lackeys, they are proxies, and their owner bodies. These guys, they are more valuable in the scheme of things than any of you, one Nigerian. No matter which camp you belong to, APC, PDP, Labour, including the AAC. The thing is that the oppressors that you see there, the beneficiaries, their promoters, their vuvuzelas, and everyone out there, their structure entirely, trust me, they are more valuable than you in the scheme of things. So you win the election and then you lose the battle. The battle is the real thing that should motivate you to see clearly. And as they say, when somebody is in love, they don't see they don't see the wrong thing. What they want to see is the right thing, just the right thing. When they see red flags, they ignore them. Nigerians are used to this. Today, the obedient will tell you they are in love with Obi, and you can tell that love. Oh, such an amazing love. Obi can't be wrong. And listen, if you have been in the bad book of the angry Nigerians, you can get your own redemption no matter what you have done. Just embrace Obi. You will win the election, you will lose the battle, and then as they say, a luta continua. But in other words, even those that will tell you we will fight, then they will change it to a luta, the looting spree. I wish I could take calls. Sorry I kept talking. I'll see you some other time. You should all have a good evening. Don't go without liking that broadcast or sharing it. I have poured out what the Rawaniyas, the spirit from the Most High, what they brought to the temple tonight. I've delivered that. What you do with it, or how you do or deal with it, is completely your own responsibility. On my part, I will say, nitemi o, mo ṣe wọ́n tí mo lè ṣe. Ó dàárọ̀. Kò tí dàárọ̀, ẹ dá padà. 1 second, I have this announcement I was supposed to give to you. For those of us who have signed up on the yorubaunion.org, we've had a little bit of a setback lately. There are some other things that have now come and they have gone live. Now, if you go on to your quickly, a quick one, don't go anywhere yet. It is the yorubaunion.org, an interactive platform where we want to, mobilize the Yorubas all over the world to build a community where we can share all we need to know and what we need to do in order to further advance the advocacy, the awareness, the message of why Yoruba should be on our own and why we would do better if we could be on our own. So here we go. So if you have signed up, I have been told, they said that almost 4,000 of us who signed up at the early stage, yeah? So many of us are unable to gain access in. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you watching me this evening, okay? Forget about the sign up. If you are one of those who've signed up in a while and you've not been able to get in, okay, forget about that sign up. Something came up that those details have been wiped off of our own system, so you won't use them. And you can go back on and re-sign up now, okay? Now, when you sign up, this is what you're going to see, the first page, the opening page on that platform, okay? So like I said, we wanted to have an interactive platform, up-to-date information, including everything that we need to know about Yoruba land, where and the people and all that. And at the same time, to connect ourselves from wherever we have Yorubas all over the world, so that, from that moment, we can build that real momentum of those who know why they want Yoruba to have our own autonomous region, a serious grassroots mobilization and international mobilization as well. We've had setbacks, but at this point, the signing up or communicating or even sharing your views are no longer barriers, okay? So for example, me, I have signed up, okay? Let me log out. Let me see if I can get back in as well now. Now, let's say I want to log back in. This is my ID. My password is on my screen, so I don't need to retype it from the scratch. But let's say now this is me log back in. Now, for me to see what is going on, I just go straight to my activities. Once you go to the activity, that is your profile. This is where whatever you do, this is you. And anyone can look for you, send you message. You know what I mean now? Communicate. I figured out that a lot of people have sent me messages. Probably those who have signed up as well. They've sent me messages and I've accepted friend requests. You can send friend requests to people after they've joined, right? You can link up with other people too. Like I have friends here, see? So you can link up with them. They can send you messages. You can send them messages. You can reply their messages. You can post something on information from any part of Yoruba land that we need to know. Videos, pictures, and all that. You can do that on your platform. And you can also, at some point, when everybody finally gets access in and we have the numbers, right? We can also set up groups. You know what I mean now? Ekiti group, Lagos groups, Ijebu group, and every other group that can spring up as Yoruba, United States group of Yoruba Union, that stuff. We can do all of that, and you have engagement with that, and you can relate with people on and on like that. So take your time and play around with it. I am not supposed to share with you my message, so I won't. So I'll leave it at just this top, okay? But you can do that. You can search for people. You get that now? You can go out there and say, well, I want to see members. Just go on to members and look for names of likely people who have joined. They are like, you will only access them. I think if you sign up, you can't access people who have been in. Well, these ones are my own friends anyway. So you can access people who have been in if you are not signed up, okay? We have a lot of things that are going on as well, including the security part of it, including the part where we can be having our monthly contribution as well that goes into any of our projects back in Nigeria, back in Yoruba land. all of this cost us money. We spend money for that. And today, I am happy to tell you that even at that, we still have over 1,500,000 naira in our kitty. Yes, we've spent money. Yes, we've all that, but we can say we still have some money that are still available to help in other things we are doing behind the scene. So in the next couple of days this month, we intend to change the publicity for the awareness of the referendum, the Yoruba nation, and every other thing that people should know. We are changing that face now, okay? We are putting in at least 500,000, right? That will go into production of, stickers. They're like car stickers. They're like stickers you can put up anywhere. And they will do a lot of job for us, I've been told, on this. And we are also currently working with Princess, who is going to help us with our domestic platform for this in Yoruba land. So we are working to make sure that we make provision for some, some money. But before we get to that part of making provision for money, what we are doing now is that we want to make sure that our branding, the registration of the organization there, and every other thing that we need to put in place behind the scene, right, are currently ongoing. There's some delays, fine, but there are other things going on, okay? So Princess is on top of that, okay? However, I think with what we have done so far, in another few days or so, we should be coming back here with something concrete, something, dependable enough that we can say now, at this point, we need to act. Because we haven't really started, or we haven't really raised what we wanted to use in, like we said the other time, helping our people back in Yoruba land. But whatever it is, now you can go on to this platform, okay? Go on there, yorubaunion.org. Go on, sign up as a Yoruba man or woman, anywhere you are in the whole world. There may be some delay, by the way, in your acceptance, but don't worry. The moment you are cleared, right, you will be able to set up your account, put up your profile pictures, connect with other people, send requests and all that. But be careful. Be careful. Do not, when you sign up and you meet people, do not share any personal information with anybody. Okay? Do not share any banking information with anyone. And please, don't get involved in any kind of business transaction, anything that will make you exchange money with anyone. I will advise you to please don't say because, oh yeah, I mean, we are the same. I trust him. I've been seeing him on the temple of, no, please. There's so much we are still going to put in place to safeguard you of all your vital information. That's why we're not asking for them now. Do not share your information. Do not send your bank card. Do not share your mobile number with people that you don't want to. And don't do all of this when you get there simply because you feel comfortable yet. Please don't do that, okay? But again, make sure you sign up if you haven't. And then let's grow the numbers. I'm going to see you some other time. And until then, please stay safe. And good night from here.
Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Maiyegun Diary ayé di number one. Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Maiyegun Diary ayé di number one. Maiyegun ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú. Maiyegun Diary ayé di number one. Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Maiyegun Diary ayé di number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Maiyegun já wa sí. Maiyegun Diary ayé di number one. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Maiyegun Diary ayé di number one. Bó bá ṣe eré àní Maiyegun máa wí. Maiyegun Diary ayé di number one. Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Maiyegun Diary ayé di number one. Maiyegun Diary Politico. Maiyegun Diary ayé di number one. Godfatherism kò sí lọ. gbọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o.
Maiyegun Diary na him be number one.
àní Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Maiyegun Diary na him be number one.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé. Maiyegun ti dé.
ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
lórí Facebook.
Maiyegun ti dé.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
lórí YouTube.
Maiyegun ti dé.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́.
Maiyegun máa wí.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
ijó ìgbádìyẹ.
Maiyegun máa wí.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o.
Maiyegun máa wí.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
kí gómìnà kówó jẹ.
Maiyegun máa wí.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
ọlọ́pàá tí ń darí bá.
Maiyegun máa wí.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o.
Maiyegun máa wí.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
òpùrọ́ olóṣèlú.
Maiyegun máa wí.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Maiyegun ti dé. gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o.
Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ o Maiyegun ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ Maiyegun ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀ oníkanṣá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ o àyè.
Maiyegun ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. ṣùgbọ́n ní má ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
ha kì máa yí ṣe eré ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀ kì máa yí ṣe eré ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀ ẹni bá ti lè lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́rù o ọmọ bá dèrò kàṣàyè tú wọn síta.
Maiyegun ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
tẹnitẹni ọmọ Maiyegun ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni mo fọlọ́run ṣọ́ ẹ̀ bá kìlẹ́bù lóòótọ́ olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sì mọ́ bẹ̀rù bọ́tà ń lè rí bóníṣègùn lé káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣera wọn ni ó ti dẹrùn tí wọn ò gbọ́dọ̀ sì mọ́ bẹ̀. èèpo ọ̀bọ lọmọ bá dérò tàjẹ́ ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ó ti jọba lórí àbínú ẹni kò sì mọ́ bùyà àìsíwọ́lu ní ẹnìkẹ́ ìgbódì ẹyin lábàrá o ó kó ẹni tó bá dán wò á kàmù. Maiyegun ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì o ẹni bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dèrò òní fi wọ́n níran o.
Maiyegun ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. ṣùgbọ́n ní má ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.